Hey YouTube, welcome back to UniX TCG, and today we are starting some rounds on One Piece Set 2 Paramount Wars gameplay. So yeah, today's video is going to be Whitebeard in red versus Ivankov in blue, and we're going to have a good old time. I apologize ahead of time for the shakiness of the camera. The arm I'm using is great for like stationary, like when I'm doing my pack openings, but it's not exactly the best for doing games, and so I'm trying to fix that very soon. I actually have a post, I can link to it in the description, but the post actually has the arm rig that I'm trying to buy, as well as a link so you can like see it yourself on Amazon. And I was just asking for donations if people don't mind, because I really do want to make better and better videos for this channel for you guys, and a sturdier arm that doesn't have all the shaky motion when people accidentally bump the table or just like, you know, walk past the table would really help. That being said, do want to let you guys know that if you want to join the UniX fam to continue showing the, you know, just appreciation and the community building that we're doing, just go down, like the video, make sure you hit that subscribe button, click the notification so you don't miss a beat, and yeah, maybe join the Discord, comment on the video, help it trend, and join the conversation. So with that all being said, I do want to take us directly into the match. Hope you guys enjoy with the commentary. Alright, so this is OP02 Whitebeard versus OP02 Ivankov. Basically a very aggressive tempo, like aggro on Ivankov's side, versus a very sturdy mid-range that can snowball into a very destructive aggressive front late game in Whitebeard. So he rolled a 4, I rolled a 9, so I'm going to go and choose second because that gives me less turns for Whitebeard to just start picking off my life. It looks like I threw back the hand, likely because I didn't see the Moby Dick field. You gain so many cards off the top of your deck as well as your life that, well, you gain the normal cards off the top of your deck, but you gain so many cards, extra cards on top of your life, that it doesn't really matter because you don't really start playing the game until like turn 4 or so. So with that being said, I definitely found the Moby Dick in the second hand, and so we're setting up the 6 life. And yeah. So with him going first, the perfect turn 1 is going to be Buggy. I believe the perfect curve for this is Buggy, and then you go into Doflamingo to set up your draws, and then you go into the stage to start cantripping, and that'll set you up for a turn, a on curve Ivankov into Luffy, and hopefully after using Buggy, you will be able to get into the Ivankov or the Luffy that you need, as well as setting up your draws using the stage. Now right here, he puts out the Buggy. We all do this sometimes. We pick up an Ami with an Ami. I had to remind him, hey dog, you can't pick up Buggy with Buggy. That is a simple mistake, but it happens. We are all human. So he picks up the Luffy, filling out that curve I was talking about. So my turn, I set up my second Dawn. And my 2 Dawn, I play Moby Dick. It's pretty much one of the best moves you can do at this point, just to make sure it's there for the rest of the game. And it's my first turn, so I end my turn and I take a life. So, playing Doflamingo, he actually is going right into this curve, setting up his next few draws. And passing turn over to me. So I'm going to go up to 4 Dawn. Checking my options before going into hopefully bait some counters out of his hand. A deck like Ivankov can very aggressively counter, but upon looking at his field and his hand, he actually takes it, leading me to think that he has a very weak hand. I know he pulled Luffy and he can't counter with that, but he may already have the Ivankov in hand. So I'm going to actually sit here, I'm going to wall up playing double Bartolomeo, setting myself up not to bleed too much. Taking another life, going down to 4. Now I can see my hand right now has Whitebeard, has a Moby Dick, a Kingdu, and double Radical Beam. So he did play the field card. This is going, this is perfect curve. This is exactly what you want to do. So he draws and he trashes the other Doflamingo blocker. I'm not sure how I feel about that. That blocker is immune to like effects like Robin and Whitebeard, so I kind of like it. But then he plays a better blocker, and he doesn't need to set up his draws, I guess. So he passes the turn back to me. Me going up to now 6 Dawn. We can start actually cooking. But he is starting to set up a wall. So right here, we're going to swing in for 7. Again, perfect numbers against a 5k leader. See if we can just bottom out his hand. And I couldn't see that he dropped 2, so I had to ask him to fan it out. That was indeed a Buggy and a Mihawk. Clean placement. So we're going to end up playing the King Dude to make sure our board starts building up. Because with this deck, what you want to do is go wide enough and then allow Moby Dick just to carry all of your characters. So taking another life, passing the turn back to him. With the 2 blockers, I feel fairly confident, but yep, here we go. We got the Ivankov. He drew a singular card before slamming down the Luffy. And right now, it's not like he has the most to swing with. So I think he's contemplating whether or not to use the effect of Luffy. Yes, you can put a blocker back in hand, but it is what it is. He opts not to use Luffy's on play effect. He draws the stage and drops the stage. And now it's kind of seeming to be a little menacing. When that Luffy goes sideways, he will be able to bounce one of my blockers. So he can get rid of one of them. I'm not sure if he has a play for the other one. But we're going to get more Dawn. And it looks like separating them stacks of 4. Okay. So now we want to end up swinging. We need to get rid of some of these blockers. He has a lot of pressure on board between Ivankov and Luffy. And he's actually got 2 blockers on board. And we need to just kind of move those out of the way. So he's going to end up taking it. I don't think he has enough off of the couple cards in his hand. And then we're going to swing with King Do, which is going to prompt out the blocker Dofi. Very, very good. We have no more bait for this turn, but we're going to end up playing a Marco the Phoenix. Excellent, excellent. Before looking at what we want to do and playing a second Marco the Phoenix. So now we've got 4 blockers on board, and we're feeling very comfortable about going down 2-2. So now it's his turn. Dawn all up. A little bit of contemplation. Playing another Luffy. This isn't worst case scenario for me, but it actually is pretty bad for me. So he's going to, since the Marcos will keep coming back, he's going to put one of the Marcos back in order to bait out another blocker. Let's see. And this is going to be a thing. He's actually getting in there with a long clay for 6k. He wants to bait cards out of my hand, and right now I don't have much of a hand. I see a Marco. There's the dead Whitebeard. There's now about 3 Radical Beams, if I'm not mistaken. This time we're going to take the damage from Emporia. In order to go down to 1, because I want to start swinging next turn with Moby Dick in mind, especially with what's in my hand. Now, I remember for a fact that is a guard point, and I was considering using guard point, but I decided to take it to hand. At this moment, I actually believe I have 3 or 4 guard point, or 3 or 4 Radical Beams and a singular guard point. So I just start blocking what he has on board, and he's going to trash with Von Clay. Mr. 3, not Bon Clay, in order to get his card hand size down to 0 before drawing 2. Replenishing the hand and setting up for next turn. He's at a fairly healthy life total. I've only got 3 swings on board, and I need to address his board or I will be dead. So I'm going to end up firing off with, well, we have Moby Dick on line. Moby Dick now making all of my Whitebeard pirates plus 2k. So essentially that Marco is a 7. The King Do is a 9, and my leader is an 8. Once again, I apologize for the shaking. I said at the beginning of the video, I am trying to look for a new thing. It's just that thing costs money. But I will have, hopefully, an overhead rig soon. I'm trying to work my way up to it. So we're going to swing in with Whitebeard on that Luffy for 8. And see if he drew enough to get out of that. Giving it a quick little think before he decides to block with Mr. 3. So I'm going to come over his head with a 9k swing at a Luffy, and he actually combos up to 10k. So at this point, we now have to start thinking about what we want to do with our Dawn. We've got an ace in hand. Actually, see, this is the whole testing thing. I think right here. Thinking about it, this might be a point where we actually, yep, okay, so we're gonna swing in here. Actually, this is the funny thing. Now that he has no cards in hand, I actually made a slight mistake. I forgot that Moby Dick was activated, so that's actually my bad. And since we're just playing the friendlies over here, we had to just roll behind it. I was like, oh, my bad. So yeah, the point is Moby Dick has him at 7, so he's not a 5k, he's at 7k. I meant to attack for 7k even. So hitting him with the, there we go, hitting him with 7s when he has no hand, and then playing another Marco to round off the turn. So now he definitely has 2 swings and I have 0 life, but what we have here is 1 blocker Marco, which he's obviously going to bounce with, well, he can't bounce actually with Luffy, because now he only drew 1 card. He has 1 card in hand, and I have, I think, like literally Whitebeard levels of cards in hand. And I know for a fact that at this moment, I believe I have 2 guard points, and I have 2 guard points, and I have 4 radical beams, if I'm not mistaken. So he ends up swinging in on my King Do, and I believe I'm going to radical beam that. I said radical point. I'm going to radical beam that. No, I guard pointed that. There we go. In order to save King Do, because I need to be able to take out all 3 of his life next turn and then hit him 1 more time. So I need to build up the field. So this time he's going to use Ivankov to swing, and I'm going to activate another guard point from hand. Now this is Whitebeard doing Whitebeard things. Now that he's playing that, he's hard casting the Luffy for 6, and he's not using the effect. He's trying to set up for a potential kill next turn if he can survive this turn. However, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 attacks this turn. It does not seem likely. So what's gonna end up happening here is, I believe this turn, we just play ace and we attempt not to die. Thinking about what's being played, it's do I go neutral? Do I hold back? But at the same time, he has 2 Luffys on board and I can't touch one of them, so he can likely just bounce back things. So right here, the play is to, I think I was about to swing with Do, and then I just realized that the play is just clearly to ace right here. But ace would cut me off from some of my cards if I'm not mistaken, and that's why I was a little scared. But that's the huge contemplation. Do I tap 7 for ace or no? And right here we choose to swing with Honeydew with King Do and kill that. And the moment I knew that 10k gets through, we're just going to end up lining it up again. We want some hard math. We checked the hand and that Luffy got off the board, and that was the most important thing. This one, not too afraid about, but now that we've gone in with 9, and that's also worked, I'm gonna play Atmos to make sure that we're open. And next turn should be the kill turn. We've put him down to one valid turn, or one valid swing. And now he's literally got to end game because I now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 attacks coming. And he can surmise that I might have a Josu or an ace in hand. So he draws up to 3 cards, and now he has to make some hard decisions. He counts, and this is pretty much the hardest part in the game for him. Discussing what he wants to do in this turn, discussing whether or not he wants to kill my board, or whether he wants to go for game. And I don't have any life, no, but I do have a base 6k leader, and I have 4 open Dawn, and he's seen 2 guard points, so it is safe to think that maybe I haven't seen too many more of them. That'd be a very hefty assumption to just have to act like I've automatically seen even more of these. So there he goes. Oh, there we go. So he has a Dofi, and the Dofi is going to put the Marco back in my hand, so I have 1 less blocker. Right now, he's just explaining his logic to me. Swinging in with Luffy for 8 and bouncing my other blocker. He's just trying to get cards out of my hand because he knows he can't put all of his Dawn into shotgunning. So I just hit a Radical Beam off of that, and now he's going to shoot in with Ivankov for 7. A little contemplating on what I want to give up from my hand. I can still see 3 Radical Beams in there. The Marco he bounced to my hand. And right now he's asking to see my graveyard, so I showed him what was there. So we had to drop a couple cards out of the hand. But that broke it. We only had to go up 2k to stop that. So now we're going to play Ace, and Ace is going to minus, doesn't really matter, that's just the one that needs to, it's the only one I can attack. And then Atmos will swing at Ace for 8k, or sorry, swing at Luffy for 8k, and he's at 5. Huge contemplation because he needs that on there. Luffy had to go. Next, we're putting Whitebeard in there for 8k. Kindu. At this point, a lot of cards are just coming out of his life, so he must be picking up duds. So I have 6 cards in hand. He just asked. He's just trying to see 3 Dawn up, 6 cards in hand. End up taking out and going down to 1, and now Ace is coming in for a clean 9k. And this is indeed a rough one. hard bit of contemplation about what's happening next turn. And he ends up taking that last life. He cannot defend that one. And from there I have to pass with 3 Dawn up. So he's untapping, and this is the hardest part of his game. He has to decide whether or not he's going to try to get fancy and clear my board. And if that's the case, he might need to figure out how to have a rusher, but also have to figure out, or sorry, a blocker, but also have to hope that I don't have a rusher in hand. Or he just tries to kill me this turn. So he drew a card just to make sure. That's free. That's a free action. Just tapping the field card in the stage. And now he's got to decide. I personally think that the 17k on Dofi is the best option, simply because there is just, it's going to be a shotgun. Like, he's not really going to do much better than a 17k swing on my hand. And that's still an extremely high number, even for Whitebeard. So now he's asking to see my grave because he's seen 2 guard points and 1 radical beam, but he hasn't seen any other radical beam. So he asks what many cards I have in hand, and it's 5. And he's just very, very concerned about whether or not he should attack my field or just go for the shotgun. And we're just talking it over right now. I'm just kind of explaining that, like, you gotta think of numbers. Probability is probability. Like, if I have it, I have it. But I think after seeing 2 guard points and a single radical beam, to assume that I have the other 3 radical beams in hand is, no, I mean, the probability is much lower. Now, I do. That's not the point, but it's definitely much lower. So we kind of have this talk about the optimal play because while my friend has played TCGs before, he is fairly new to One Piece. He started pretty much like a little bit before OP02. So after talking over, he's like, you know what? You gotta have it or you don't. So I end up having it. So 3 radical beams gets me to 18k. And that's pretty much that. He doesn't have the hand to withstand 3 attacks coming at the smallest number, 8k. So that's just pretty much that. And then I just had to let him know that like he's definitely going to try to withstand the onslaught just in case. But it is close. I can see my hand. I just drew another guard point, and I had a Marco the Phoenix in my hand. But if he had just like literally just one of those guard points, sorry, one of those radical beams not being in my hand, literally just ends the game. So I played Whitebeard, boosting my leader up to 8k, and I'm swinging with 8k. And he ends up using, yep. Dude had to, sorry, 10k. Dude had to do all that just to combo out. Now I'm swinging for another another 8k, and he blocks it out. Then I swing with King Do, and that's the game. So I just had to let him know that the turn that he swung on me, that was my hand. So legitimately, if I just don't have one of those radical beams, that's game right there. So I was like, I understand it sucks that I had all 3 radical beams, but you were that close to coming to killing me. It was just a matter of, yeah, I just could have had, the other guard point did it as well, but if I didn't have another radical beam, I just would have died at that point. So I just had to explain to him, yeah, it sucks, but it's just part of the game variance. So yeah, let's go into the closing. So there we go. I hope you guys enjoyed that little bit from you know, the OP02 format. We will be having plenty more games. We've got a lot of decks built, and as of Friday, I will have my black starter decks. So I'll be prepared not only to play black, but also to get, you know, the next giveaway ready as well. So it's gonna be a pretty lively time. As for the cards, I do have a word from our sponsor, so if you guys would like to just chill for a second, and then yeah, we'll close out the video right after that. So let's talk about Mystic TCG, your one-stop shop for all your TCG needs. On the site, you can buy or pre-order plenty of sealed product for plenty of games. Just make sure though, if you're pre-ordering, to give it 3 to 4 months in advance to start looking, because sometimes the product is indeed hot, supply and demand, you know. And then if you want to buy singles, go on tcgplayer.com. There's going to be a link in the description where you can buy for the best value. And if you want to sell cards or collections, you can message them on their Facebook site so you can get the best bang for your buck on any type of way you want to buy or sell cards. And then While you're at it, you can use the code UNIXTCG at checkout to get even more of a discount. So hey, what are you waiting for? Check out Mystic TCG today. And that would be Mystic TCG. So with that being said, while it may be a little too late to buy sealed product for OP02, you can always get pre-orders for further sets down the line, as well as being able to buy singles on TCG Player once the cards are either out of the pre-order status and whatnot. And you can also sell him your cards so that you can have the money to buy other cards as singles or potentially pre-order sets. But if you do go to the site to pre-order anything, make sure you use the code UNIXTCG or the link in the description to get 15% off. So that being said, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the content, and I will see you guys in the next video. Later.